Hi. Hi, guys. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Well, first, this is Rachel from the MPH Life LLC, and it's always a pleasure to hop on with and for you guys, okay, for our short Facebook Live, for our weekly tips. And I hope everybody had a nice Labor Day last week, um, taking a break from labor. Um, But today, we are going to talk about preventing fall, senior edition. Really, this is a lot for our seniors because in my profession, I also have to see a lot of seniors after they have fallen, and some are not just a simple hip or bone fracture, if I can put it like that. Sometimes it is a brain injury, it is a spinal cord injury with some serious consequences, some serious issues, sometimes death. So, this is something I would like to talk about today. Before I jump on it, I was asked about the care management services provided by the MPH Life LLC. Just very quickly, this involve coordination of care. This involve education of family and even the client if they are interested, but often is the adult children of the patient in question. This involves medication setup, medication review. This involves also reviewing records and then, helping you guys understand what all is going on with your loved one. This involves communicating with all the various providers involved in the care of your loved one, and advocating for your loved one also. This involves even, surveying facilities or reviewing facilities, asking the right questions if you are thinking about transitioning to a facility, as well as ensuring medication are transferred appropriately and all of those things. So a lot of those little details, resources that are needed in the home, and what all it takes to keep your loved ones safe. So safe and as healthy as possible. So that's what we do as far as our care management services at the MPH Life LLC. Okay? So I hope that answered your question. If you have any more questions, you can reach out to us, visit our website, give us a test, a call, contact us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, you have many ways to contact us, so I'm sure you'll use one of them. But let's jump into this topic, okay? Today we are talking about falls and really trying to prevent falls, uh, uh, um, because it brings a lot of issues. Typically, the life expectancy of the senior is shortened after one incidence of fall and fracture. Typically, if there has been a fall and a fracture, it shortens the life expectancy. If you notice, many's quality of life kind of decrease somewhat after a fall. Not all, but many, depending on what the activity level was before the fall. So this is why, preventing a fall is so important as you get older. Um, Sometimes it just happens, and this is why I'm going to talk about things to really pay attention to and address, so not to be surprised or to minimize that incidence. Now, there are I'll talk about age related changes that increase the risk of fall. Number one is decreased strength. Okay, typically after retirement, most are not as active as they used to, and if before retirement they did not have an active life, it's even worse most of the time. So, um, as you get older, you have less lean muscle mass and you have weaker bone. That's what happens. Second, you have a weaker sense of balance. Balance is off for multiple reasons, and this is often because of the change in body function. You know, you are prone to dehydration or some hearing issues or some sight issues, things like that. So there is some issues with balance. You have hip issues, knee pain, that type of thing. And as I mentioned, there is the eyesight, there is a vision issue. So there is decreased eyesight. That's another change that really, participate toward the risk of falling. There is the hearing decrease, and it's not necessarily just so the hearing, but the hearing system, the ear system, which affects balance directly. So there is that issue that goes on. There is a loss of flexibility. A youngin will break their fall very easily, and even be able to catch themselves before they even fall. I just thought of Matrix for some reason. And uh, but an older person might not necessarily be able to do all of that and catch the balance. There's a decreased endurance. Okay, so you get tired easily, you get fatigued easily, you are more prone to just uh, um, easily losing your balance, or um, getting your foot caught in something, or your legs giving out on you, that type of thing. And of course, they decrease desire sometimes, or even ability to ambulate, because ambulation, okay, moving activity, is what keeps our bone strong and help us with our muscle mass. We want to try to keep our muscle mass as much as possible. So I am a gym goer, um, because, well, I love some stuff in there, but I kind of like the little social component of it. And I love my seniors that come in there, you know, even frail looking seniors that I are exercising. And it's not a matter of necessity. Some of them do some ridiculously heavy weight from my perspective, because if you are in your 80s and you are lifting the same weight I'm lifting, I'm asking myself questions, and I'm asking myself what's wrong with me, okay? But often this is somebody who has been doing it all their adult life. So of course they can do that. Then I feel some kind of way. But there are also the what I call a regular person, and they don't have heavy weights. They don't carry heavy weights. They don't do all kind of ridiculous exercises. They come in to walk. They come in to do their little weights. A lot of repetition with some weight, just to keep that bone strength and that lean muscle mass. And I love it. I just love it. And half the time, or most of the time, some of them have just the best sense of humor from my perspective. So I'm always getting a good laugh anyway. So I love interacting with my seniors at the gym, no lie. So, you know, that leads me to the things you can do to try to prevent fall. And even if you were to fall, not have such a bad uh, um, debilitating effect from it, right? Because if you keep your bones as strong as possible, the fracture will be less severe as opposed to very weak bone. Now, we have, as providers, we have to screen for osteoporosis comes a certain age, and not everybody wants to do it. Not everybody want to go through that DEXA bone scan. Um, but even after the scan, when you are told you either have osteopenia or osteoporosis, some are not really motivated, to help with that. Many of us are, for instance, deficient in vitamin D. And we know how important vitamin D, calcium, we know how important those are for bone health. You know, um, if you are keeping in mind the health of your bone, you are keeping in mind keeping some decent muscle mass on you. You also want to get involved in your nutrition. Then you want to be able to have decent amount of decent intake of those nutrients to help with your bones. So what can you do to stay, to try to keep with the health of your bones and the lean mass, and really to not only prevent fall, but if you were to fall, because sometimes accident happen. I cannot tell you how many times I've fallen, Oh, but then you don't want to break something. The first thing you want to do is really stay active, exercise those skeletal muscle, skeletal, musculoskeletal system. You want to exercise the bone, you want to keep them strong, you want to exercise the muscle. Okay, and again, I'm saying not doing ridiculous stuff, but walking, you um, repetitive motion, lightweight, push up against the wall, those type of thing. You want to have your hearing and your sight check every so often. Please, you know, there's basic hearing tests yearly at your doctor's office in primary care, and basic sight check for most. Okay, please have those done. Have those done. You also want to know about the side effect of the medications you are taking. So you kind of watch for it. If dizziness is one side effect, you want to watch for it. You want to make sure that you are not getting that side effect. So um you operate accordingly. You know, you don't get surprised. Um, sleepiness, drowsiness, are side effects of medication. So you want to know the side effects of your medication. And this is why I do the health coaching portion of thing, because of that education, health literacy that I'm so passionate about. So I can help you with that also. Okay. Um, get enough sleep. Get enough sleep. The more tired you are, you will notice at times that it affects your balance. The less aware you are when you are tired enough, the less cautious you are when you are tired enough. So you really want to get enough sleep. You want to watch the amount of alcohol you drink. Do I need to expand on that? You know, after retirement, living la vida loca, life is good, but you gotta be careful. Because when you are not in control, you can take the wrong step or do something, and again, that's when what I call freak accident. To me, that's part of the freak accident. Some of them are really, really freaky, but accident caused by influence are also freak accident to me, because really, it's not supposed to happen. Stand up slowly. Stand up slowly. Why? Because our body adjusts as we change movement. Our blood pressure adjust. But as we get older, I'm speaking English today. As we get older, the adjustment is a little slower. Okay, this is why they tell you to stand a little slower. You don't want to just spring up. I mean, if you are in such a good shape, good for you. Okay, um, but be mindful of that. You just don't always spring up all the time. This is when sometimes people just spring up and get lightheaded, dizzy, and bam. So watch that. If you feel off balance, use an assistive device, and this is when you want to talk to your physician. My balance has been off a little, because then you get evaluated and get the proper device ordered for you. There is nothing wrong with that. I think it's safer to use a device than to fall and have something broken, and then uh, having the chance of being dependent on that. Plus, if you are having some issue, you discuss that with your physician ahead of time. You can go through therapy. You can go to physical or occupational therapy to try to remediate or correct that. See? And the shoes, my gosh, the shoes, non-skid shoes. Being careful with the flip flops. Flip flops is one of the cause of many seniors fall, especially when it gets stuck in something and then something and kaboom. Be careful with the flip flops. Don't wear those flimsy uh, uh, um, flip flip flops. Watch the laces on your shoes. Even us younger, we have to watch the laces on our shoes. Um, wear rubber soled shoes. And for those, because I live in Florida, sunny Florida, but I used to live in Ohio, and I cannot tell you how many times I've fallen in winter. So for those of you that live in those weather, please, 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 please. Sometimes it's not even worth getting out unless the driveway and stuff has been treated and salted and melted. I have taken care of folks trying to get to the car, and they fell, and it was not a good thing. So sometimes you gotta choose, is it worth it? um and if you had a fall, especially when you cannot figure out why you fell, you need to speak up. You need to tell your physician, because there are many things that could have happened that could have caused that fall, and it needs to be caught as soon as possible to prevent a bigger issue. So talk to your doctor about it. Okay. um some folks wear life alert, they find it helpful. Have a system in place. If you live alone, have a system in place for when you do fall, so you can reach somebody. So you are not laying on the floor for a long, long, long time. You know, before somebody realizes they have not heard from you, and decide to check on you. Please have a system in place for that. And again, at last, I really want to encourage you. Yes, Whitney, um, it is very annoying. And I have a little story. But I want to encourage you guys to really try to keep your bones strong. And this doesn't only apply to seniors. I have fallen before and broken a bone, and I was in my 20s, and it was a ground fall. And I thought I was breaking my fall, only to break my elbow. Granted, that area is one of the easiest broken bone, but at the same time, it's not the flimsiest bone to be broken. So to this day, it kind of baffles me. You know, take care of your bone health. Ensure you are not vitamin D and calcium deficient, and supplement accordingly. Discuss with your physician. Exercise, keep active, keep the weight bearing exercises, um, to prevent those things, so that when you do fall, you are not really breaking something and having to go through that whole ordeal. But yeah, to tell a little story, Whitney, since I lived in Ohio, and every winter, I have never figured out how to walk in winter. I never did. And so every winter never fails. Almost every winter, every week, I am falling in the parking lot of my job. Will not fall at home. It worked fine. I figured out a way to make it to work without falling, from my place to the car and out of the car. But at work, everybody will be walking fine to the building. But I was the one you always find on her back at some point before making it to the building. So I made it a point to wear several coats, because I knew I knew the fall will happen one way or another, no matter what. And if it got extremely windy, oh my gosh, talking about balance, those of you that don't have good balance, that's even more challenging. I'm kind of crouching, trying to make my way in the building, because the wind is being ridiculous. The floor, the ground is slippery. It was fun. I don't miss that. I remember being ecstatic when I moved to Florida, because the first thing I say was no more falling in the parking lot at work, or going to work, or whatever. So that's my little story. So, guys, falls are something you want to try to avoid, because it really, especially for the senior, because of what all it can create. spinal cord injury again happen very easily like that, especially with your bones being weak. So the facet of your spinal process might be weak, right? There is that. Your joints, the break of any bone, there is a brain injury, and this applies to anybody depending on what kind of fall you are experiencing. So please be careful. take care Take care of yourself, ensure you maintain good health. Stay active, stay as active as you can. That's only to keep you going as long as possible. Okay? And yeah, don't make fun of me. Yes, that's me. That is me every single winter. Every single winter of my life. So if there is no questions, I am going to wish you guys a good night. And by the way, guys, make sure to share these videos if it's helpful. Share with people you know. It will be helpful to try. Make sure to like, follow, so that it gets to other people to whom this can be helpful. And I really appreciate you all watching, and liking my videos and supporting this little channel. Take good care of yourself and stay healthy. Yes, I can relate. Bye. Bye, guys.